5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you set 4 of CJ vs. KT Day 2 Pro League playoffs. In this game, we have Stats versus Bbyong. Bbyong is the Terran player at the 3 o'clock position, and Stats is the Protoss player at the 12 o'clock position. There we see Bbyong there. So, no mirror matchups thus far, except for day 1, we had a TVT, Flash versus Sky High, but so far, no mirror matchups. That's actually quite unusual. Especially in Pro League. I mean, usually you see the different matchups, especially in the individual leagues, but Pro Leagues, coaches like to play the odd on certain maps. If a map is favored for a race, you know, they're just going to send that race out, and hence you see quite a few more mirror matchups, but none thus far. That is, again, unusual, but here, Bbyong is unfortunately not up to the task of dealing with Stats. He is 41% overall and 35% against Protoss, so that is not a strong player. I imagine he was sent out on this map, Icarus, because he specifically practiced on this map. I don't know what sort of sniping strategy he may have necessarily practiced, though, because all sorts of players come out. Maybe he was expecting Flash, perhaps TVT Sniper, but if so, he is going to be in some trouble against Stats here. I don't think CJ would necessarily have a versus Protoss Sniper. I mean, Stats is good, but he's not good enough, I feel, to require a Sniper to deal with. There are many people on CJ who I feel should be able to take him out without much of a problem. Hydra, for instance, Lita, possibly. I would give him even odds, certainly. We haven't seen Lita yet. Perhaps they're saving Lita for Flash. I don't think that's a wise maneuver. Lita is no Flash when it comes to TVTs. Best to save Lita to dismantle someone else. Like, I think Lita against Action would really be the way to go. The top KT Zerg. You know, because I think Lita would destroy Action without much of an issue with his 2-port race strategy, unless Action had thought about it and came up with a credible counter. And now we see a little pylon here hidden in the natural. It's not really that hidden. It's just sort of next to the minerals there, coming out from Stats. Let's see what are these players scout in the correct direction here. Stats is going to scout in the correct direction, whereas Bbyong is not. So a little advantage here for Stats. Bbyong, though, I don't think he's going to mind this too much. He is going to go for the Rax into Command Center build. He's got a Ring out to ward this off. I'm pretty sure the probe saw it. I mean, there's no way that Stats did not see that. So he knows what's coming his way. This scouting SEV has come into the main of the 6 o'clock and sees nothing there. So this might be somewhat more of a longer game. We see Cybernetics, of course, spinning here, and Stats, he is going to get ready to put down his expansion, looks like, with the probe, scouting probe he brought back here. Or maybe he just wants to grab a little mineral here. Nope, he is going to set himself up for an expansion. Bunker going down to the front, 3 Marines. 4th one coming out, gonna fortify themselves inside that bunker, and that is gonna be that. Thus ended the opening phase. Nothing unusual. That Dragoon getting sent to intercept the scouting SEV, but no, Dragoon pulling back perhaps a little prematurely. It's gonna probably try to get itself onto the bridge there and kill the SEV as it comes over the bridge. That is a good maneuver. If Stats has a second Dragoon out, he should be able to kill it before it sees anything of interest. Especially in the natural. I mean, it wouldn't blow his mind, Bbyong's mind, to see that Nexus. Ooh, mischance working against Stats here, and now the SCV has gotten into the main of Stats and sees everything. Again, it's not going to really bother Stats finishing it off with a probe there. But it's certainly always good to keep your opponent in the dark. It just confirms for Bbyong that nothing crazy is coming. And judging by how standard this play is from Bbyong, I imagine he was sent out to deal with Flash, probably. Maybe they thought Flash was going to come out on this map. Well, they were quite mistaken here. And, sorry about that. We see Barracks getting picked away a bit here. Starport going down. That's actually tad unusual. You usually do not see the Starport so early in TVP. Not quite sure what he wants to try to do here, but we see a supply depot getting put down at the front. So perhaps I was mistaken. Perhaps Bbyong does have something specific in mind here. It's not that unusual to see a support this early. As in, it's not like the most out of this world experience. It's not like being on acid. Wow, you know, acid. I'm not going to comment on that issue. Suffice to say, it's very acidic. Okay, that was lame. I'll come up with something better to say because, well, the subject is actually somewhat interesting. But then I'll be accused of corrupting the youth. So no comment on that issue. Here we see Dragoons picking away at the bunker at the front, and like Socrates, he was accused of corrupting the youth, and then he had to drink hemlock. Alright, although that was more of a trumped-up charge than anything else. Anyway, we see these Dragoons doing their best to pick away at the engineering bay. Then again, comparing myself to Socrates, that's pretty bold, isn't it? Among other things, I am not a philosopher, nor do I speak Greek. So, that's that. Robotic support bay going down here, so we see Reaver perhaps coming out for Stats. Stats has quite good Reaver micro and pretty good attacking skills against Terran player. He's also got 3 expansions. I mean, 3 bases, 2 expansions. Third one almost going up there at the 1 o'clock base. That's actually somewhat dangerous position. I'm a little surprised why he put the expansion there. We see a dropship coming out now. So that dropship will have perhaps loaded up with some tanks going to come up to the natural expansion here. But you see Stats, unlike moving his probes immediately, just going to lose to 1, which is the number you are... Wow, 0 is best, but 1 is not bad. We see 2 vultures here. They can do great damage here in the back, laying what mines they can. Stats needs to move his Dragoons. He's a bit cautious, and now we see all sorts of mines going down. This is actually a nice little attack here coming out from Bbyong. Because those probes can't really run to the natural. Oh, they can. There is a shuttle sent to clear that out. And Stats needs to pay a bit more attention in his main. There's still a Vulture alive picking away at his gas probes. Now we see the Vulture finally getting hit with the Disruptor bolt of these Dragoons. And the Vulture has managed to get himself into a little corner there. All the mines in between Stats and that Vulture gonna irritate him. He's probably got his observatory finished in his first observer building now. Stats, what happened to his Reaver harass? I didn't see any sort of attack coming out, but Stats here, and yeah, we see those mines getting cleared up here. Perhaps Stats was just too distracted to mount any sort of offensive here, but the main base is now fairly well defended. There is 2 tanks, a siege one, and some turrets there. I don't think any sort of attack there is going to work at this point. And if he tries to unload Dragoons with just the 1 shuttle onto the little cliff there overlooking the natural of Bbyong's, it's not going to bother him too much. Dragoons take a while to kill SCVs. By the time they get like 2 kills even, it'll be 2 tank siege up on low ground. Probably not even that. Probably won't even get 2 SCV kills, and that'll be the end of the little attack on the cliff. So not too much that Stats can do at this point. Unfortunately, his Reaver first strategy not really paying out for him because he hasn't had the opportunity to attack. Bbyong got there first. That is why taking the initiative in games is so important. Initiative is not just this illusionary value, if you would. It's not like, well, I don't want to say, I would put it in the same category something like honor. It's not something that is illusionary. These values, as long as people give them credence, well, I guess honor is more like that, whereas initiative is not. Okay, so my point here is simple. Taking initiative is good. It puts the opponent on the defensive, makes them react to your moves. That is almost always good. So I guess that is actually a difference. Now that I really think about it, one thing is something that you give credence to, otherwise it has no value, much like money. Money is worthless if people don't believe in its intrinsic value, whereas other things may actually be worth something. Well, money in the sense of like computer money, you could even argue paper money has value. You can burn it for warmth, but probably not the best use in our society, at least. Maybe in Zimbabwe, burning your paper money for warmth is actually the way to go here. Now we see potential attack here coming out from Sky High. That mine almost blowing up among the Dragoons, but and that second mine is going to explode near one of these Dragoons. Where are the observers? That mine also not quite going off here. There's a nice little army here for Bbyong. Stats has nowhere near enough forces to bust his way through the front here, but I think Stats is just going to be content to keep Bbyong in his base for now while he expands yet again, it looks like, at the 11 o'clock position. So he is also upgrading his ranged air attack at the Cybernetics Core, putting down their Stargate carriers coming out here. Traffic jam here in Bbyong's main base. He's got so many units, they are just not moving out very quickly here. Stats has the shuttle and a few Dragoons here at the front. Control group perhaps not going to be too effective here. Bbyong senses that he needs to get something done sooner rather than later, and probably not the best use of a Reaver picking away at a solitary mine. Well, it's not like he has too much else that he can do. So Bbyong has the advantage of the base proximity. He is somewhat close to Stats' base. If he can set himself up outside the natural of Stats before Stats can do anything, this will be his opportunity to win the game here, because then he'll have isolated the expansion at the 1 o'clock base, and there won't be anything that Stats can do to save it. But Bbyong is being delayed by that shuttle and the Reaver, and those Dragoons here in a flanking potential flanking position. We see Speedlots out for Stats, a lot of Speedlots. Probably not wise to attack across the bridge. Wait for Bbyong to move half his army across the bridge and then attack. That would be, I think, the optimal time. That Reaver going down and these Zealots coming out, but no. Stats is ignoring that advice. He is just persisting in plowing through, trying to attack across the bridge, losing a lot of Zealots, not really causing too much damage, but he has at least forced Bbyong back, not back, but delayed his push a little bit. Now Stats is setting up for the attack once half the units across the bridge, I feel. Now is his golden opportunity to attack, managing to catch some of the units as they are sieging. But again, Bbyong has a lot of units. He's got plenty of tanks and vultures here. Still, a fairly successful attack by Stats. I have to say he lost a lot of units, but I don't think he's going to mind this too much, considering he's nearly destroyed the entire tank force here of Bbyong. Bbyong, though, with reinforcing vultures, looks like is going to finish off Stats' forces at the front here. Don't know whether Stats actually has the time or the resources to get carriers at this point. I think he should be fine. There are only a few tanks left, and just vultures alone is not going to get it done. 4 tanks left, but Bbyong is not completely out of this game. He has quite a few mines protecting his tanks. There are carriers coming out here. This is his window of opportunity to attack. Stats putting down a pylon at the blockade. If Bbyong has sent those vultures into the 11 o'clock just 10 seconds earlier, he would be in a very good position, because there would be literally nothing Stats can do. Stats would be able to kill the tanks there at the front, but the vultures would have wrecked his economy. I think it would be a worthy sacrifice. I would probably have pulled the tanks back and sent the vultures for a raid. Now, though, Stats has bought himself a bit of time with that little pylon blockade. Oh, I see. Dropship coming out to airlift some units in. That also works. So there is at least one cannon there, possibly more. I don't know. Were there any more in the back there? No, so this is going to work here, and there is no way for Stats to withdraw these probes. This is going to be a complete disaster. Stats bringing out his own shuttle here with some units to deal with this. He is probably going to drop Dragoons. No, they are going to be Zealots to deal with these vultures, and Bbyong not paying very much attention here. Carriers coming out. They have no interceptors. But Stats feels that he has no choice but to scramble them at this point, although I guess scrambling is more for fighters. You can scramble ships, though. That I think is an appropriate term, but it probably refers more to like the little ships. Nice little Zealot bomb there. And we see these carriers actually Despite the fact they have almost no interceptors, they are being used to great effect because there are no Goliaths at the front. Small forces Dragoon in the south, they're pinning down the reinforcements, especially Dragoons. We see the turrets up now. They're going to do their best to pick away at these interceptors and force the carriers back a little bit. Bbyong actually has a nice economy, producing a lot of units. So many vultures at the front. He needs Dragoons to deal with his Stats does. And Stats has managed to defend his base at the alarm clock fairly well, but another run is probably going to come from Bbyong. His dropship managing to survive. Stats is pushed all the way back to his natural. Bbyong would be wise to have detached about 2 tanks, half a dozen vultures to finish off this base here. I do not know why he has taken so long. Stats now reinforcing the position with a Reaver and 2 Zealots. So, Bbyong, really, this is a difference between a high-level Terran player and someone like Bbyong. He's got himself in a good position, but if he could close out that base at an alarm clock, he will win. As it stands, he's actually still in a very good position. He's got a very strong siege setup. Why is that vulture not attacking? It's on, like, stop attack mode. Ouch! That is just unfortunate for Bbyong. His relative lack of skill showing there. That vulture could have easily gotten 3 or 4 kills. And I don't know why these SCVs were transferred out to the front like this. Baffling play by Bbyong. I'm astonished that he's actually winning. The Stats is not. Stats with 4 carriers now. Going to come into the main for an attack. This is more of a distraction area attack than anything. If Stats chooses to persist with the attack, he cannot defend his main, and let's see what Bbyong does, whether he sends forces back. He seems he needs to push the natural or come back to defend. I would probably push the natural. Nice use of the Reaver and carriers. Potent strategy, I have to say. Reaver is great against Goliaths. Bbyong is going to persist in his attack and take down the natural. He is going to be successful there. Stats is down to the 1 mining base. His natural is almost mined out. Stats has the 1 mining base at alarm clock. If Bbyong had closed that out, he could very well have won this game. I mean, sure, there would be... Ooh, the shuttle running into all those Goliaths. Sure, Stats would still have these carriers here, but he wouldn't have anywhere near the resources, I feel. Probably just has enough resources to build one wave of interceptors, and that would be that. If Bbyong had closed out that expansion at the alarm clock, I don't know why he hasn't done that. Any high-level Terran player would have done that, I feel. The first thing they would have done, once they got themselves in a good position like this, is to take down this base with a small detachment. Now he's sending a few units there. He needs tanks to bust down the front. I don't know what Bbyong is doing. He's taking down the natural. As it stands, Stats is still in great danger. He's got himself a few more units here, and this blockade is going to go down, but Stats bring his units back in the nick of time. This is cutting it close here to finish off these units that are attacking his base at the 1 o'clock, but now Bbyong does still have his natural mining. If he can set himself up another base and build just Goliaths, he'll also be fine. Stats will eventually run out of resources. The alternative for Bbyong is to try to finish off that base at the 11 o'clock with all his Goliaths. I don't know where his Goliaths are. Command center being floated down there. There is a Zealot there to stop it. And now the command center in the main has been destroyed. Nice maneuver. Now we see the tanks finally being sent after the blockade has been defeated. But Stats using that cliff, using this proximity to great effect here. Truly, you know, this is something that can work for or against you. In this case, is clearly working in Stats' favor, bringing his carriers back in an instant to finish off those tanks before any damage can be done. And now, Bbyong is completely mined out. His Goliaths never in position to engage the carriers. Stats has 6 carriers now, probably full of interceptors. He's also got resource intake, whereas Bbyong has none. He's managed to reestablish a base there at the 4 o'clock position for himself. That is his chance to get some sort of mining done while he holds off his carrier force with his Goliaths, but he has thus far failed to mass up. Never mind about that. He has managed to mass up enough Goliaths to pick off 1 carrier. There looks like 7 carriers on the field for Stats, and as long as he has mining, he can build interceptors. 7 carriers is a very potent force. You need in excess of 2 dozen Goliaths to deal with it. And continuing production. Whereas I am not so sure that Bbyong has the production to build too many more Goliaths. Here, he also has a lot in his main for some reason. Bbyong really missing his opportunity there. The game is still somewhat close, but I have to give Bbyong disadvantage here. Stats, I feel, is something like 80% likely to win this game, unless Bbyong can do something amazing or Stats suicides his carriers in the Goliaths. But no, Stats with a ground army and the carrier is going to finish off all these Goliaths. It looks like this will be GG. So, nice game by Stats. Bbyong, ugh, so disappointing. He did get himself into a great position. He had his chance to win, but he did not take it. Stats with the initiative after that first attack by Bbyong, which I thought was good to dropship attack when he had initiative, but then Stats taking control of the entire game. And, well, bring KT up 3-1 going on to the next game.
정우영 선수가 전반적으로 나쁘지 않았어요. 정면과 한신을 밀 수 있는 기회가 여러 차례 있었음에도 불구하고 그 기회를 놓친 것, 좀 긴장감에 좀 억눌려 있던 것, 이것이 역시 페이로 작용을 하고 말았네요. 그렇습니다. 역시 그 중장기전 이후에 이거 뭐 부담감, 스코어상 부담감, 그리고 본인 경험이 많지 않은 이런 것들 중첩되면서 경기를 거의 다 잡은 경기였었는데요. 그렇죠. 지금 팀원들과 나누는 대화에서도 방금 저희가 해설할 때